You know, in the whole world of digital assets, there is this one question that just keeps coming up, right? It's the puzzle that really separates the projects that stick around from, well, all the hype. And that question is, how do you create real, actual, sustainable value?
I mean, what really gives a digital token value? Is it just slick marketing, a huge pool of money behind it? Well, the blueprint we're going to walk through today suggests the answer is something way more fundamental than all that.
And here it is. It's not about hype. It's about having a real job to do. The whole idea boils down to one word: utility. A token gets its value when it has specific, useful things it does over and over again inside its own little world. We're not talking about speculation here. We're talking about pure function.
All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. To really see this in action, we're going to unpack the GEM ecosystem blueprint. This is a super interesting model for how you design a token with a real purpose, right from the very beginning. And we're not just talking about a single app. No, this is about a whole suite of tools that all work together, all built for social impact.
So why build a whole ecosystem? Well, the logic is pretty simple. You don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. When you have a whole ecosystem, you give people lots of different reasons to hold and use your token. This creates this awesome flywheel effect, right? Where someone using one app finds out about another one. Plus, it makes the whole thing stronger. If one part of the system has a slow month, the other parts can pick up the slack. It just builds a much more resilient, much more sticky experience for users.
Okay, so if utility is the big goal, how do you actually create it? Well, let's start with the first part of this digital engine we're talking about: fueling the demand. Honestly, this is the part that makes everything else tick.
And let's be super clear about what we mean by utility. This isn't some fuzzy, vague promise. We're talking about the careful, deliberate design of jobs for a token. Things that give people a real reason to get it, and more importantly, to use it again and again. That's how you get that organic, recurring demand that has nothing to do with whatever the market is screaming about that day.
So what do these jobs actually look like in the real world? Let's take the GNM token as an example. It's not just one thing. If you hold it, boom, you get a discount on fees. If you actually pay with it, you get an even bigger discount. Lock it up for a bit, now you're unlocking advanced features, and you get a voice in where the platform goes next. See? It's this multi-layered approach that makes the token truly useful.
All right, so we've got the demand side covered. Now let's flip over to the other side of the classic economic coin, supply. This is where the engine gets a really powerful, self-reinforcing flywheel going. Here's how it works. The platform collects fees, right? And stuff like ETH or USDC. It takes a chunk of that money and uses it to automatically buy its own GNIM token right off the open market. Then, and this is the key part, those tokens that it just bought are permanently destroyed, gone, poof, they're burned. What this does is create this constant, systematic reduction in the total supply, and it's tied directly to how much the platform is being used.
And what's cool is that the system is built to grow. So in the early stages, it's smart enough to just find the best price out there on the market. But later on, as things mature, it can have its own dedicated pool to make things faster and more predictable for users. It's a really adoptable model that's clearly built for the long haul.
Okay, so we've seen how this engine creates demand and how it reduces supply. But what's the point of it all? This is the best part. This is where all the technical stuff, all the mechanics of this digital economy connect to a real-world mission. Check this out. Every single fee the platform generates gets split 50-50, right down the middle. Half of it goes to that buyback and burn machine we just talked about, and the other half, it goes directly into a charity treasury. This means the engine's success is literally tied to its ability to do good in the world.
Let's put some real numbers to this to make it sink in. Imagine the platform does about, say, $25 million in volume in a single month. Even with a pretty small fee, that could generate something like $50,000 in revenue.
So what happens to that 50 grand? It gets split perfectly. $25,000 goes to buying and burning GNIM, shrinking the supply. And the other $25,000 goes straight into the treasury to fund charity. It's beautiful, right? The more people use the platform, the tighter the supply gets, and the more money goes to the mission.
And here's the thing that really matters. This is not some black box. The whole process is designed for what you might call radical transparency. Every donation, every grant, every fee, every single burn, it's all verifiable on-chain. They have public reports, an impact ledger. Anyone can go in and audit the flow of money and see for themselves the impact that's being made.
All right, let's zoom out for a second and just look at the whole picture. This elegant machine we've just taken apart. It connects utility directly to real-world impact. You build apps,
That creates utility, which drives demand. You burn tokens from use and buybacks, which reduces supply. You split the fees, which funds the charity. And you make it all public, which builds trust you can actually audit. Every single step just flows perfectly into the next. It's a complete, self-sustaining, virtuous cycle.
Now look, it's really important to be clear about what this means and what it doesn't mean. Does burning tokens guarantee the price goes up? No, of course not. Reducing the supply can help support the price, but markets are wild and complicated. The real goal here isn't to promise a price pump. The goal is to build something sustainable, something with real utility that creates verifiable impact. The value is in the function and the mission, not the ticker.
And that kind of leaves us with one big final thought, doesn't it? We've just walked through a blueprint for a system that perfectly aligns what's good for the user, what's good for the token's economics, and what's good for a social mission. So the question is, could these kinds of transparent, mission-driven digital engines be more than just a clever design? Could this be a real glimpse into the future of how we create value?